it's interesting because Mike Pompeo came out finally saying China is actually, involved in genocide. So we have a country that's literally killing people. All right. This is the state, finally, the U.S. State Department, Secretary of State, admitting that China's, participating in genocide with the Uyghurs in West China. And here we have this authoritarian state in the States trying to claim that Trump supporters are the problem, that Trump incited violence, even though he never did. Let me show you this. So this is Secretary Pompeo. He came out, he said, I have determined that the People's Republic of China is committing genocide and crimes against humanity in Xinjiang, China, targeting Uyghur Muslims and members of other ethnic and religious minority groups. These acts are an affront to the Chinese people, to civilized nations everywhere. The People's Republic of China and the CCP must be held to account. Do you notice what's underneath that? Chen Weihua, China state-affiliated media. Less than 24 hours before Secretary of Disinformation Mike Pompeo is gone for good. Time to celebrate. Oh, look, a Chinese state-affiliated media account. Happy Pompeo will be gone. They don't want you looking at that. No, don't look at this. Everything's fine over in China land. Be focused on the Trump supporters. They're the real problem. Why? What did we do? Because there's some fringe people out there that were idiots and went into the Capitol building. You see that there's a picture being floating around of totally colorized to make it seem like the Capitol building is on fire, even though it was never lit on fire, even though that Black Lives Matter activist was talking about, we got to light this place on fire, we got to burn it down. Yeah, that's right. That wasn't a Trump supporter. That was an instigator. That even Black Lives Matter activists were like, nah, we don't like him. He's an instigator. Okay, so even their own group is saying he's too far for us to like. We don't even want anything to do with him. Okay, well, he came to try to burn it down. He went on CNN that night with a CNN reporter that was seen with him in the Capitol. I'm kind of bouncing all over the place tonight. It's just crazy that this hypocrisy that we're seeing, like, and China's just like, yes, destroy yourselves. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like to me. This is the official statement from Mike Pompeo here. The United States of America has led the world in holding the perpetrators of the most heinous human rights abuses accountable, from the Nuremberg trials to the creation of the Genocide Convention in 1948 to the declaration of ISIS's recent genocide against the Yazidis, Christians, and other religious minorities in Iraq and Syria. Americans have given voice to those who have been silenced by evil and stood with the living who cry out for truth, the rule of law, and justice. We do so not because we are compelled to act by any international court, multilateral body, or domestic political concern. We do so because it is right. For the past 4 years, this administration has exposed the nature of the Chinese Communist Party and called it what it is, a Marxist-Leninist regime that exerts power over the long-suffering Chinese people through brainwashing and brute force. We have paid particular attention to the CCP's treatment of the Uyghur people, a Muslim minority group that resides largely in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in western China. While the CCP has always exhibited a profound hostility to all people of faith, we have watched with growing alarm the party's increasingly repressive treatment of the Uyghurs and other ethnic and religious minority groups. This goes on for some time, but it's good to see someone calling them out. And then we saw that tweet, that response. Well, the Secretary of Disinformation. I've been watching this for 9 months. People have been like being silenced. You know, there's reporters that go missing because they're reporting on this. You know, China's trying to do this like, no, nothing's wrong. And Nike and Apple and all these other huge companies are like totally fine with using slave labor. This is a shame. This is still going on. And people are worried about Trump supporters? When the majority of Trump supporters are against sex trafficking, which is very prevalent. Now, I'm not talking about Q. You could try to group it together, but they are not the same. Okay, sure, there is the Q people, whatever. You know, I would say most Trump supporters are against sex trafficking. And you know what? You should be too if you're not a Trump supporter. Granted, I feel like a lot of my followers are Trump supporters, but if you're not a Trump supporter and you're listening to my show, are you against sex trafficking? I should hope so, because it exists. There's over 40 million people a year that are affected by it. That's right. That's a lot. That's a big number. Now, I get that from Eliza Blue, who's going to be on my show on Thursday, and we're going to talk about it. She's going to be joining me, and she's actually a survivor of it. This kind of stuff happens. I mean, you know, they want that, you know, most of them are pro-life, you know, the whole conservative side of things, you know, and I'm seeing, and I understand why. You know, it is a lack of accountability that a lot of people are missing nowadays. They don't want accountability. They want to blame others for their problem. That's why I have a tweet that's going around. Who are people going to blame when Trump is gone? They've created this boogeyman, the perfect boogeyman. Like, we can just blame Trump for everything. It's perfect. We don't have to be accountable. We can just blame Trump. This is awesome. Yeah, great. You know, oh, are you feeling oppressed? Blame Trump. Blame the system that Trump represents. That's what they're doing now. Now they're vilifying. Let me find this one tweet. This tweet, it's been floating around for a little bit, but I couldn't believe it. Actually, I have, how long before they make the word Trump illegal? And then I saw this. This is from an hour ago. 23 hours ago. Don Winslow posted this video about Trump's new army. And he goes on to say these are images that calls basically everyone a domestic terrorist. This guy isn't even a Trump supporter. Okay? The disinformation right off the bat. Okay? Yeah, the guy got arrested. And sure, there's these people, Olympic gold medalists. So, look, this video is, there's an ominous voice talking about Trump's new army. He loses control on the 20th of the real army, but his new followers are standing by, the Proud Boys. And it's like, my goodness, calm yourself down, okay? Because these are Americans that love America, okay? The term patriot is, I love my country. That's what it means, okay? I'm a patriot. I love this country. I love being free. I love being free. I don't want people to oppress anyone. Serious. But there's a huge difference between being oppressed and thinking you're oppressed because you don't want to work hard. That's what it is. I mean, most people that are out there screaming, I'm oppressed, have zero idea what it means to be actually oppressed. They have no clue. Zero. Where there are actual people that are being oppressed in China right now, as Mike Pompeo finally called it out on basically his last day. You know what? I'm just going to call China out for what it is. They've got genocide going on and crimes against humanity. So what's going to happen from that? You know, is anything going to happen from that? It feels like we're the ones being vilified, these Trump supporters.